Hello everyone and welcome to the annual obligatory Halloween spectacular here on the Captain Logan Show. 'Tis I, Captain Logan, and joining me as always is my fantabulous chat moderator and producer in disguise, DJ Martinez. You can't tell, you just have to take my word for it.
Yeah, it could be anyone.
He could be anyone, but we can be pretty sure that you're either broadcasting from the past or you're a time traveler that just brings your color palette with you.
Yeah. Oh, had to break this one out. Last minute.
Yeah, well, good job. I'm glad you found it. I'm glad you found a cool costume. I want to say when you did that the first time you were on the show.
I did. It was the year of Spider-Verse, and we had another Spider-Verse movie this year, so I popped it out. You said this was kind of a last-minute Halloween show, and my Halloween costume this year I can't actually wear because it's a one-time costume because I'm going to have to, do some special effects and, make up stuff and, mess up the suit. So it's I can only wear it once.
Crazy.
So, I was like, what
does that mean? Like a once-used costume? What does that look like? It's like, I'm going to scar my whole body, and I don't want to do it until that day.
Well, it's from a scene in it's an After Hours costume, and if you've seen that movie, you'll know the scene. But it's gonna ruin the suit, so it's gonna be a one-time thing. But I went and dug this up, although I couldn't find the hat for the longest time. It was like 3 minutes before showtime, and I finally found the hat, so I'm really glad I did.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm sorry I didn't give you any more lead time on that. Honestly, I wasn't. Halloween's on a Tuesday this year, and that kept throwing me off. Where I thought we had another week. And I got up this morning and I was like, what are we doing for the Captain Logan show tonight? And I started looking at news and stuff, and then I went, oh crap, we have to do the Halloween show. Which is why I called it obligatory, because it's Halloween, we have to do it. So here we are. I didn't even remember to change the color of the super chat box. I'm going to fix that while we're talking here. That's going to drive me crazy the whole show.
You did do the pumpkin, though. That's awesome.
I did. I remembered that. You made that years ago, and I love that thing. It's wonderful. Anyway, everybody, thanks a lot for... I'll do that later, or maybe not at all. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight, folks. We're going to have a special fun Halloween show tonight. We're going to keep everything kind of on topic for Halloween. It is a... kind of either-or show. So we're going to talk about scary things of every kind of category. I'm sure this will get funny. Maybe some actual serious discussion will come up of real honest to God horrific things that might happen to you in real life. There he is. There's DJ Martinez. Guy, how does I'm jealous of you. How does your hair still look that good? Under that mask. That's amazing.
Yeah, I had to take that off because I would not be able to do my job as a moderator because I couldn't see anything. I was completely blind.
Hey, I want to ask you a question. Were you, just speaking of, because for a brief second I couldn't remember what that costume was actually, and I felt bad about it when you meant that. Oh yeah, it's the noir thing. That's right. Because for a second I was thinking like some other pulp comic thing. Then I was like, oh, that's right. It's supposed to be Spider-Man Noir. Were you disappointed that Noir was not in the sequel?
No, I didn't miss him. It was cool to see him at the end, though.
Oh, that's true. He does show up at the end.
So he's going to be in the third one most likely. Maybe if I had rewatched the first one like right before, I would have missed him. But it had been a while, so I wasn't really thinking about him when I went to see the second one.
Yeah. You know who I think adequately replaced him? Scarlet Spider. Yeah. I think Scarlet Spider adequately replaces him in that movie.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. Anyway, tonight, so start getting your questions in, folks, if you would. We're going to ask you to pick, to throw out,
those, I guess.
Throw out two different things, and we're going to tell you which one we think is scarier. So throw out items, artifacts, events, things that might happen to you, movies that you know I hate, TV shows or video games that you know a lot of people don't like. It can be, like I said, jokier things like that, or they could be like seriously, actually scary things. You can use this as an opportunity for sadistic choices. What would you pick between these two things? Which one is scarier? So that's the framework tonight for the Halloween question, and if we can get a whole 2 hours out of that, we won't answer any other kinds of things. But if we run out of steam with that, we'll open up for other kinds of questions, I suppose. And as always, you can leave a super chat in any dollar amount, which guarantees that we'll do your which is scarier question. And if you can't do that, thanks a lot to everybody that does, helps to support the channel, keep the train rolling along here on Geekvolution. You guys are wonderful. But if you can't do that, or you don't want to, you can leave regular comments with your question, and make sure to tag DJ, Martinez, or Films by Color, or Spider-Man Noir. DJ will answer to any of these things. It's Goggle Face. He'll answer to any of these things. And I mean, that sounds like a 60s Batman villain, right?
I've kind of turned from Spider-Man Noir to the Scranton Strangler all of a sudden.
What is that?
That's a serial killer from the Office. Looks like this.
I'm not, yeah. Whoosh. It went right over my gigantic hat that I can't even get my arms around.
No, I can't get anything past that hat. I thought it was a sombrero when you first, in the thumbnail, I thought it was a sombrero because I can't
It's
see
even too big to be a sombrero. Yeah, no, it's a monstrosity is what it is. And like it folds over itself because it's so large. I did this for a costume years ago for the channel, and my seamstress was like, she asked me for the measurements of what I wanted for this hat, DJ, and I sent her back the measurements, and she was like, that must be a typo. You can't actually mean that. You wanted that in, like centimeters, right? No, inches. Oh, okay. And she did it. When she brought it, honestly was even bigger than I realized it was going to be. I probably should have measured it out. It was a little bit too large. But it was amazing when we shot it on set because it like shot off camera constantly. Like if you do close-ups in it, you almost can't even tell you're wearing a hat. Like you noticed on the thumbnail, it almost looks like what is behind me is just a black backdrop. If you shoot my face close enough, you can't even tell I'm wearing anything. I'm not going to offer a prize for this or anything, but I'll give a shout out to the first person, and I don't know, I guess technically you can have comment of the stream, although I want to do kind of a comment of the stream for the best scary thing. The thing that actually really freaks me out and makes it hard for me to choose because the things are so scary. I'll give like actual comment of the stream too, but runner-up comment of the stream for the first person who nails my costume. And actually, Thomas Lowe just did it. He knows what it is. I was gonna open it up to see if people knew what this costume was, and I figured a few people would Spawn Your fans, but I haven't worn this hat in 10 years. I haven't done anything. I pulled out really much of anything besides maybe the Billy Kincaid teddy bear from Spawn Year in 10 years. But yeah, Thomas Lowe says that's the Captain Cog hat from Spawn Year. That is exactly right. And this is in fact the Captain Cog costume because he wore the red TNG uniform with the Cagliostro hat. And for anybody thinking that I copped out and I just grabbed things laying around, I actually had to get a new Star Trek shirt, and that's why I'm doing this year. So a lot of you guys have seen me wear a shirt like this a lot before in Star Trek streams, but this is actually technically my Halloween costume this year because Jason got a yellow one and wanted to team up with me and do Star Trek this year. So and I posted a selfie of the two of us wearing those the other day, so you can go to the community tab and see Jason and I wearing uniforms. But I didn't want to just wear that because it's hardly a Halloween costume to you guys. It's kind of a uniform for a show I used to do. And anytime I come back and do Star Trek stuff, sometimes I'll wear that again. So anyway, that is the long-winded, boring explanation of my costume. And now it's the news. No lead-in topic tonight. We won't be having news. Real quick, let me put in a plug for tomorrow night's show, as I always do. Austin and I at 9 o'clock Central Time. We're going to do a Silence of the Lambs commentary. I just watched that again for the first time in probably 16, 17 years on Tuesday with my wife, who wondered why she waited so long to see it. She thought it was going to be more intense than she could handle and that she wouldn't like it. And we finished it and she was like, oh, that was great and not hard to sit through at all. And I don't know why I didn't watch it before. So I'm glad that I showed it to her. We had a really good time with it. And Austin and I will be talking about that tomorrow night. We should have some fun things to discuss with that film. So come see us at 9 o'clock tomorrow night and we'll chat about Hannibal Lecter. DJ, let's go ahead and get to questions if anybody has cool one. No, I don't. I'm not going to do a commentary on Clarice. No, stop it. For anybody that doesn't know, what's his name? The guy doing Star Trek these days, Alex Kurtzman, somehow got a show going on Paramount Plus that's just Clarice without Hannibal Lecter. Like, they're not allowed to use that character, so it's like a Clarice prequel, and that has to be boring as sin, right? I just can't even imagine, and I haven't heard any good things about that at all.
That's like the new hit show on A&E, Marion.
Let's go ahead and go to the proverbial phones now, DJ, and see what folks want us to talk about. What do you think is scary, folks? Or what do you think I might think is scary? Let's find out. Ooh. Let's give us all lots of reasons to go, ooh.
We're going to start with Mutale.
Okay.
He put it in a super chat, real short and brief, but here we go. What's scarier, becoming blind or deaf?
Oh, that's a classic what is scarier question. DJ, I'll let you field it first, sir.
Oh, goodness. Well, I was blind about 30 seconds ago, and I did not care for it. Don't recommend it. That is tough, man. That's tough. I love movies. I love music. What?
Yeah.
Whew. I think it's scarier I think I'm answering the wrong question. I was going to say which one I would hate more, but scarier would definitely be blind.
Yeah.
I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, at least in the short term. I mean, you could learn to live with either of those disabilities, obviously. But, I think the way you have to answer that question is if it suddenly happened to you.
Yeah,
which would be scarier. Because it wouldn't be it wouldn't be scary forever, right?
No, you get used to it. But you wake up in a hospital room and you fall off the bed and you see all these cars and oh wait, no, we don't get super hearing. We're just blind.
Yeah, but to that point, and my mind went there too, if Matt Murdock lost his hearing instead of his sight, that is maybe not as freakish of a scene. I think it's scarier when you're a very small child, maybe. Or just as scary to suddenly lose your hearing, maybe. It would be harder to make that scary in that scene, I guess, just because, the visual nature of that, it's a little scarier. And his, all the sound coming at him at once, it's easier to an audience to make that scarier. But as far as, what would actually scare you yourself, it could maybe be different. I mean, I think for me, being blind would... And just the all the potential, horrible things you'd have to deal with after that. It wouldn't just be in the moment, oh God, I can't see, what am I going to do? It'd be, here's all these things I know I've lost. And you'd have that with hearing to some degree also, but I don't know, I'm not a visual person as far as my art and stuff, but I'm, like you said, I can never watch a movie again, I can never play a video game again. I can't see my wife. I can't see my kids. See them. I don't know. And this late in life, I think that's scarier than losing your hearing too. Because I also think that the older you get, the more you just assume that at some point you'll lose some degree of your hearing.
Yeah.
And that makes it a little less scary.
Yeah, and then you could still do all those things. You can still watch movies with subtitles, and because you had hearing most of your life, you can at least imagine what you would be hearing.
Yeah.
Whereas blind would just be, I don't know what I would do. I would just listen to audiobooks all day, I guess. Have conversations.
Yeah, you pay closer attention to music.
Yeah.
I've got another child coming in late December, early January, and it would be more, it'd be more tragic, it'd be more traumatic to not be able to see my, next kid's face than to not hear her voice, I think. It's all those things. I guess, the longer you live, life is just a very visual kind of experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's less traumatic if it happens to you earlier. If I was going to lose my sight, I would hope it would happen to me, around... This sounds awful. I mean, I wouldn't hope it would happen to me or anybody. But if that were going to happen to me, I would want it to happen early enough in life that it would be easy, and it would be, you know, a little bit easier to adjust to, right? Like, you're not, you've still got a lot of life left and a lot of experiences to have where that could become normal to you earlier, but late enough that you can imagine everything that you hear and visualize it. So you'd want it to happen around, I would think 10 or 12 would be like, you know, kind of like Matt Murdock. Would be kind of the perfect time to get blinded if you're going to get blinded.
Perfect timing.
That's a thing that Ray Charles talked about in an interview once I watched not too long ago, actually, about how because he wasn't blind from birth, it was easy to visualize everything throughout his life and he didn't miss his sight.
Yeah, wow. He didn't visualize it as fire everywhere. That would have been interesting.
No, that'd be pretty dramatic for Ray Charles, I think. You just imagine it all as musical notes.
All right, now let's get into the real scary stuff. Here.
All right, okay, cool.
Another super chat from Mutale. What's scarier, a Star Trek or Tick movie by Taika Waititi?
So I'm going to answer this the meanest possible way. Are you ready? And this is not me being as mean to Waititi as I'm going to be to Kurtzman and the folks making New Track. I feel like I've basically already seen that with some of New Track, both with certain bits of Discovery, and because like Discovery is really self-serious, but when it tries to do comedy, it's painful. And then, as much as I was kind of enjoying Strange New Worlds, there's a lot of really cringeworthy, to me, humor in that second season, and the gimmicky episodes were really painful to me. The, like, Spock loses his volcanity and is full human, so he just becomes like an emo teenager. They thought that was hilarious. The crossover with...
Does he walk down the street and dance?
He might as well have. No, he does that in the crappy musical episode that I hated even more. Yeah, they did a full-on musical episode, and the music was atrocious, and I was embarrassed for everybody involved. People are apparently enjoying that. More power to them. I don't get it. I thought it was dreadful. And then the crossover with Lower Decks was also kind of painful to me too. So I don't know. I kind of feel like I've already seen that, so I'm gonna say Tick because I haven't seen that ruined yet. So yeah, that's scarier. I think I'm already primed for Waititi Star Trek after some of the crap I've had to sit through lately.
Yeah, the Tick would just walk out his front door and just fall over or hit himself in the face with a kickball. Hilarious.
Well, and if you get the right actor to play the Tick, maybe he could improvise some lines that are close enough to Ben Edlund dialogue. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe so.
I'd rather see improv Tick than Trek, I guess. But again, I'm still gonna pick Tick because it's one of the only things I love that I haven't seen completely destroyed in a modern reboot or remake or a revival.
Yeah.
Get in some scary questions, folks.
All right, let's go back to... Well, we got one more super chat here. Wow. And it is a doozy. Brett Burns, 1985, $5.
Thanks, man.
What is scarier? Going to hell after you die or wandering the earth as a lost soul?
Okay, can I give the cop an answer? Because I thought about this a lot.
Yeah,
I have. I've given this one a lot. This is like, do you really want to be immortal or not? And we've done that question on this show. The whole, would you want to see all of your loved ones, die while you continue to live on? Wouldn't that be horrible and hellacious? I feel like that it's like a lot of, it's like a lot of comedy, DJ. You just have to be there. Like I think maybe you would have to go through either of those things to know, because it's so it's so open-ended. You don't know what hell is like, and so like what I want to think is it would be worse to be in constant agony, whatever the agony was, whether you're constantly on fire or you're, constantly frozen or you're getting your liver eaten out by birds or what the Prometheus thing, whatever it is, I feel like automatically, surely that's worse, than living forever, not going through physical agony, but just being lonely, wandering around Earth, watching, not being able to feel anything or touch anyone or talk to anyone, etc. But wouldn't you have to go through both kinds of agony to know what you'd rather have, the physical or the mental anguish? It's all so hypothetical. I feel like you'd almost have to go through it, Like, give me 10 years of each and then I could answer you, but don't do that.
Don't do that. I don't want a sabbatical in hell just to see how it is.
That sounds like a great name for a memoir or an album, though. Sabbatical in Hell.
It depends on what version of hell you're going with. Like,
right.
If it's the version of hell in Pasolini's Canterbury Tales film, yes, I want to go because it looks amazing. It's so crazy.
But it could be the kind of hell that also is more mental anguish than it is physical, too.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be anyway, because like your body would burn up immediately and you don't really have a body. You have like a spiritual body. I don't know. Yeah. So, but I mean, if it's the Spawn hell, if it's the hell from the 90s Spawn movie, I definitely don't want to go there because my eyes would. Ugh,
no, you wouldn't be able to stare at the crappy CGI.
No, it'd be horrifying. That'd be worse than the pain.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's tough.
Yeah, I guess I'd wander. I'd wander as a lost soul and just creep on people. Just see what's going on.
What you'd have to do is just keep telling yourself that you're playing an open world video game on easy mode, where nothing can touch you. And I guess with some kind of cheat code where you have infinite lives and no life bar.
Yeah.
So it's just,
I'm, like
I'm just playing life on cheat mode now.
I'm like the skeleton army in the last Lord of the Rings movie. I can just wander around until someone needs me, and then I just go kill a whole bunch of people in a war. I don't know. Do I have the power? What do I have? I guess I can't touch anybody?
Yeah, I would assume not, and you probably can't communicate with anybody.
Can I haunt people? Because that would make it fun.
Yeah, if it was any way that you could interact with other people, you could at least pass the time more quickly.
According to all ghost hunters, I can only like open doors and move chairs across the room. That's for some reason the only thing ghosts can do.
Yeah, DJ, I think there's a reason for that. I think it's because they're trying to explain normal things that happen that look supernatural in the moment with ghosts.
That's the only thing that you're capable of doing with a string while you're recording.
Did I tell you guys
chairs across the room?
No, Robert, this stream has not gotten spooky yet. We got to get spookier.
No, it's getting very dark and depressing right off the bat.
I know. You know what? Honestly, not as much as I thought it would. I'm kind of waiting for that like gut-wrenching. I don't know. Like maybe I've gotten really desensitized to everything now. I'm waiting for that question where I'm like, oh God, I've never thought of that before. Woo! I'm looking for that haunting ghost story version of this question. And right now it's like, oh yeah, like that's scary stuff to think about. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate the questions, and they are they're especially the Star Trek Dick one. That one actually did freak me out a little bit.
That's frightening.
But at the same time, I'm waiting for that thing where I'm like, oh my God, I never thought about that before. That makes that. I'd rather have my head spin around because I got possessed by the devil.
Alex Barron, I've seen Cap in Hell. It was watching Secret Invasion.
Okay, I would definitely rather wander the earth than do that for all eternity. And I might even rather be in physical Bernie hell for all eternity than that.
Or it's not Secret Invasion. What do we call it? Secret Investigation, or I don't know.
Secret Investment.
Oh, Secret Investment.
Secret Investment. Yeah,
all right,
it's called Secret Investment because you don't want to admit that you paid Disney money to watch it.
Well, you don't want to admit that you invested your time into that.
Yeah, right, that too. Well, no, that's true because at least with your Disney Plus subscription, you paid for that for all the other stuff they have.
Yeah.
So you could be like, no, I wasn't watching Secret Invasion. I was watching Gargoyles.
Here's another downer of a one from Utale Super Chat. What's scarier, ALS or Alzheimer's?
Wow. That one I haven't given as much thought to. Which of those would you rather have? Geez. I think Alzheimer's is scarier to me.
I actually don't know what ALS is offhand by name.
ALS, do you remember the years ago, the Ice Bucket Challenge?
Yeah.
That's what the Ice Bucket Challenge was about. The point of that was you're supposed to make parts of your body numb so that you can momentarily experience what ALS is like. I think it was ALS, and then give money to the causes trying to support people that have that. So it's I don't want to speak out of the other side of my face because I haven't looked too much into that, but it is some degree of paralysis, I think.
Yeah, progressive neurodegenerative disease that affects nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord. Ooh.
Yeah, there you go. But
so do you want your body to deteriorate or your brain to deteriorate?
Yeah, definitely my body. I would much rather be like a head in a jar or in a wheelchair and unable to move like Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking had a full life and couldn't move anything. Like, I'd much rather be that. And I think actually what he had might have been a really severe version of ALS. I don't know that for sure. Somebody would have to tell me.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's actually like my worst fear.
Slipmaker. Look, it was years ago. He goes, the Ice Bucket Challenge sure raised a lot of awareness for whatever ALS is. Why, I honestly hadn't even heard of it before that, so at least I have heard of it.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I didn't remember. I may have known at the time, but I didn't remember what.
Austin says, I didn't think we'd go to the Ice Bucket Challenge. Well, I wasn't sure how else to explain it to DJ.
I was a little lost there for a second. You're like, what's ALS? You remember the Ice Bucket Challenge? I'm like,
you remember that? Well, you know what? It made me more aware than DJ. He was like, yeah, I remember that. What were we raising money for again?
I don't know. I thought it was just celebrities dumping water on themselves for videos and views.
No, it was for a good cause. Patrick Stewart had the classiest one because the idea was you were supposed to like pass it on to different people you knew. So it wasn't just celebrities; it was also people on social media all over the place doing it. Like I almost did it. I was tagged by a few people, and I ended up not doing it. It was during Spawn year, and I almost did it with Mountain Dew. And then I realized that was going to be really sticky, so I didn't do that.
That would have been awesome, though.
Yeah, I thought about it. But anyway, Patrick Stewart had the classiest one because he did a video where he gets his little ice bucket for like mixing drinks, and he just pulls out like he wasn't gonna be undignified enough, posh British stage actor. He wasn't going to be undignified enough to put a bunch of ice over his head. So he took a small pair of tongs and he pulled a couple of pieces of ice out, and then he just pulls out his checkbook and he starts writing. It was awesome. His video was, I'm writing a check. It was great.
See, if I'd seen that one, I would have known that it was raising money.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
There you go. You should pay more attention to Patrick Stewart. Back then, I guess.
Yeah, you don't like Patrick Stewart anymore.
Robert, I don't know. I blame him partly for that show because he was in the writer's room. Robert Wild, he lost a little bit of credibility with me on that. I'm not going to lie. It may have been a stupid challenge, but I don't mean to be judgmental. But at least it raised money for a good cause, unlike every other dumb internet challenge. Agreed.
Oh, you don't remember what the Tide Pod eating contest was raising money for?
What was that raising money for? No, I don't, DJ. What was that for?
Puppies, babies, all that good stuff.
All right, folks, let's talk about more scary stuff.
All right, more scary stuff. Robert Wild, $2.
Ooh.
What's scarier, your kid is possessed or missing? Gongs are scary.
So, I'm gonna cheat on this one too. Retroactively, once you find out what happened to your kid, it could be just as bad or worse if your kid was kidnapped or just missing. But in the moment, definitely possession. That's definitely scarier. Because there's nothing you can do, and I'm basing this partly on having just watched The Exorcist last week. There's nothing you can do. It seems maybe supernatural. If it's not supernatural, it's in the brain, and it's a condition nobody understands, right? And so you're sitting there, you're watching it happen. Your child, he or she, is still there with you, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's at least maybe more hope if they're missing. Maybe like especially at the point where it's clearly supernatural, like when the head starts turning around and that kind of thing. You know, you're like, well, at least if they're missing, there's a possibility that you know, somebody was just really lonely and picked up a kid to go have ice cream and hang out and watch TV for a week. That's probably not what happened, but I mean, it's possible. But I mean, at the same time, you'd probably be at the same level of freaked out.
Yeah, I don't know. I think something about being able to like hold my kid, even if they're like freaking out constantly, would be less scary than just the complete unknown, not knowing if I'm ever going to see them again for me.
Yeah.
Because I have to deal with, not, I mean, my son's not possessed, but I deal with a real small microcosm of this because my son, like I did when I was his age, has really bad nightmares. He hasn't had one in a while, but he'll have nightmares and then he'll wake up just screaming his head off, but he doesn't fully wake up. Like he's still unconscious enough that he can't like talk. He just like screams for a minute, and I just have to kind of have to hold him and try and wake him up fully. Like I'll turn the lights on and make him drink some water until he fully wakes up. But like when he's still in that like in between state between sleep and awake, there's nothing I can do. So I kind of have a little experience with this, and I usually just like hold him tight, and that'd be better for me than just not knowing where my kid is and not knowing what's happening to him, and I can't even protect him. Like that would be so scary.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. That's rough.
No, it's not a big deal. I had it when I was a kid. I don't know what it is. I don't know what causes nightmares.
But at least he's not like swearing at you and
yeah, no,
spitting up pea soup and.
Not yet. We'll see.
It's at least not actual possession. But I don't mean to undercut that. Yeah, I've never dealt with anything like that with any of my kids. Now, yeah, Selena sounds a little possessed right now, but that's just because it's bedtime and she doesn't want to get changed. She doesn't want to go to bed.
Yeah, that would be terrifying if she started cussing at you.
Well, yeah, especially because I talked about this in the Exorcist commentary, but the little girl in that movie in the face reminded me of my daughter Selena a little bit. And I got this flash of when Selena's 10 or 12, maybe she'll look like this little girl. And I forgot that the little girl was gonna get possessed and looked like that horrifying, because I hadn't seen that movie, and like I knew about the possession, but in the moment I wasn't thinking about it. I was just like, oh, that looks a lot like Selena maybe. And then I sent Austin a message and he was like, well, this movie is gonna be a lot worse for you, isn't it? And then just before we did the commentary, I kid you not, Selena suddenly, it turned out, had a stomach flu and she started throwing up everywhere.
Oh yeah, I saw that part of the commentary.
That night, just like we were late to that show because of that, and all Austin can talk about with that is like, oh, I guess your daughter is possessed. This is a cursed film.
Well, at least you got to live the whole experience, because you were talking about
that was a
not
night,
watching it. You like the day before, you were like, I'm gonna turn the lights on. I'm like, no, you got to watch it as close as you can to the original intent, and you did. You lived it.
I absolutely did. No, I lived it.
You went even above and beyond.
Don't worry about it. She's okay. Her head wasn't spinning around or anything. The crowd's gotten a little bit bigger. Just in case you just came in and you don't know what we're doing tonight, we're answering either or questions about what things are scarier, as you see there on your screen. So throw me two different items, two different scenarios, and well, she is not happy. That girl does not want to go to bed.
I think she was just spider crawling across the floor.
Oh, yeah, good call. Maybe her head did just spin around. Yeah, it's a good night for an exorcism, folks. But give us two different things. We'll tell you which one we think is scarier.
That would be amazing. You should just one of these years on Halloween just like start yelling and just fall under your desk and then not come back and freak people out.
Oh, that sounds like work. That sounds like special effects.
All right, let's see. Next one is from Brightburn 1985. Pick a
Yeah.
fate. You snap your fingers with the gauntlet to save the universe from Thanos, or you get 2 life sentences served back to back. Shawshank.
Who was that again?
That was Brightburn 1985.
Okay, ask that one more time because it sounded like 2 almost completely unrelated things, one of which didn't sound scary at all. So read that again. I don't think I heard one correctly. Go ahead.
So you're either Infinity War or Shawshank. You snap your fingers with the gauntlet to save the universe from Thanos.
And okay, but like he didn't give us the rest of that. And you die, right?
Yeah,
like
you
it's
die.
an epic sacrifice. Okay.
Or you get 2 life sentences. So it's basically like life in prison or death, but he did it in a cool, geeky way. Or you get 2 life sentences and serve back to back.
Okay, well, the question wasn't the way we're framing this isn't which of those you'd rather do, it's which one is scarier. So definitely the second one is scarier. You know, like it's not, I don't know how scary it is to like by the time you've decided to do the epic sacrifice thing, like it's difficult, but I don't know if it's exactly scary. Right?
Yeah, I mean, just the concept of death in general is scary, but if
sure,
you already...
but that part of it, like, it's too big. I wouldn't be able to wrap my mind around it. For me, it'd be, I'm gonna be gone. I'll be dead. I'll be dust. That sucks. But it's not the same thing as stand under a missile or go into a building and like press the detonator button or shoot yourself in the head. Like, I know I'm not gonna feel that, right? Like, you snap and you're dead. You know you're not gonna feel it. It's not scary in the same way. Is like having to, you know, be in prison, life sentences. For me, it's uncertainty versus definitely knowing what's about to happen to me. If I definitely know, regardless of how awful it is, that is automatically less scary than you're putting yourself in a trepidatious situation and anything could happen to you, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, being in prison is like living in fear for the rest of your life.
I mean, why do you think so many people who, this is dark, but why do you think so many people who are in that situation attempt or succeed at suicide?
Yeah.
They would much rather snap their fingers and be dead than, and also you're asking somebody that has, as I've said in the past, an irrational fear of going to prison. Like I'm horrified of prisons. I've done a little research. I've looked a little bit into the prison system with our country, and it just kind of freaks me out. Just the whole institution. Not to get deep into that and political and stuff. And I was worried when I say that it probably sounds like I'm hiding something and I've done something awful that will get me sent to prison. Gee, I wonder why Cap is so afraid of going to prison. He's probably done something horrendous. I don't think I've done anything that would get me thrown in prison, but I'm irrationally afraid of that for some reason eventually happening to me.
I think I'd be more scared of being able to snap with a metal glove on. Like, I don't think I'd be able to do it. I think I would choke. Like, I don't think that's even possible. Especially the big, like maybe the small one that Tony has, but the big bulky one, like, it's just for show, right? Like, you can't actually make a snap sound with that.
Surely. Yeah. Can you imagine if that was the one thing holding you back from using all-encompassing godlike power? The one thing you can't do is snap your fingers. Now, that would be hell, right? It's like, I am the most powerful being in the world, except I don't know how. It'd be like if you have the Infinity Gauntlet and the only way you could use it was rolling your tongue, but you're not genetically disposed to being able to roll your tongue. So unless you can go, you cannot use the Infinity Gauntlet and make anything happen. That would suck. That'd be really unfortunate.
Yeah, or like, unless you can whistle, you can't do anything. Like, there's a lot of people who can't whistle.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I can whistle, so I'd be good, but my wife can't whistle.
Be like, wow, God, I guess I can't stop this, horrible catastrophe of half of the universe being disappeared.
And then there's just a montage training montage of you learning to whistle or snapping, I guess.
Yeah. Well, what's really funny about it is you have the Infinity Gauntlet, so technically, like if it makes you omnipotent, you should be able to use it to automatically learn how to whistle. But if you have to whistle before you can use it to learn how to whistle, then it doesn't work.
Yeah,
it's like leaving out that one thing that lets you get to the goal at the end of a Mario level, you know?
Yeah, I never got the snap thing, like, because that actually doesn't activate it in the comics, right? He just like does that to.
He does that
like a visual way.
And it's one panel.
Yeah, it's just like
it's a famous panel. I don't think it happens anywhere else in the book. It's been a while, maybe it does, but now Q does. That's what's so funny about it is if you don't know Star Trek, like that is another omnipotent being that always snaps when he wants to make something happen, but it's consistent. He always does that. But that's also for dramatic effect there too, because Q is like an energy being that just appears as human. He's not actually human, so he can't have to snap to make his powers work. He doesn't have fingers, except for when he wants to have fingers.
Yeah, it's so weird that Thanos in those movies just says, I could do this with the snap of a finger. But he doesn't actually, I wouldn't think he actually has to snap his fingers to make it happen.
No, it's a euphemism. It's a euphemism.
But later on, the good guys have to literally snap.
You could have said anything else. You could say, I could do it with a raise of my eyebrow. Some people can't do that, you know?
Or like in the twinkling of an eye or something. Yeah.
Yeah, blink of an eye.
It's an expression.
It's an expression. That's it. I love that we got on this tangent, but that's exactly right. Yeah, I just love that. My fear is that I wouldn't be able to snap my fingers and use my magic powers. I'd rather go to prison for 2 consecutive. Also, I love not to make fun of the question. Apologies, and I appreciate the super chat, but this always kind of makes me laugh. 2 life sentences. I mean, once you get the 1, who cares?
Yeah, load them up. Give me 13. I don't care.
You know, and I understand the technicality of it, where it's like you can only punish a person so far without it becoming inhumane. So like all we have in our justice system, if you don't have the death penalty or in your state, or if you're not seeking it, all you have is being in prison. You know, there's not and fines. We don't in our court system get as specific as a judge saying, here's your sentence, you're going to go to prison, and so much of this will be solitary confinement, or you're going to get whipped this many times every day, or we're going to, hacksaw off your hand. Like we don't go that far.
Yeah, you don't like prison now, but any other time period, prison would be much worse.
No, that's exactly right. Yeah, if we really had the full-on eye for an eye mentality, yes, the punishment should fit the crime, but at some point you just can't go any further without getting to a really massively ethical, problematic place. So all you can do is say, this person did all of these really super heinous things, and if he was able to live forever, here's how many years he would get. That's all we can do. So if you murdered your entire family and you got life for all of it, we add them all up and say, just so everybody knows how terrible a person this is, he got 914 years. Just so you know, that's how much of I don't know how to not swear with this. That's how much of a crap bag he is.
Crap bag. Crap bag banana hammock, or whatever he changes his name to in that episode.
No, you're right. You're spot on. That's what it was. DJ and I are talking about doing a friend stream next month for the 5 of you that'll come out for that. Look forward to that. We're gonna try to do a Thanksgiving friend stream finally.
All right, so let's move on to Mutale's super chat. What's scarier, voodoo doll or a death note?
Ooh.
Finally, we're getting into some tortures.
Okay, this is a case where the uncertainty of it actually doesn't factor in as much for me, like the other one, because the voodoo doll is too hypothetical. You get a voodoo doll, you start sticking in it. Maybe it harms a person, maybe it doesn't. We know for sure, at least within the context of the Death Note TV show and manga, that under the right circumstances, if a person that has the Death Note has seen your face and knows your name, writes your name in the death note, can kill you at any time in any way. You will be dead. Now, if I knew for sure that I would get tortured with a voodoo doll, I guess at that point it just kind of depends on how long you have the doll and how many, pins I have to take and that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's back to the torture versus death. Like, you'd probably rather just die than be tortured for the rest until you can get the doll from the person, I guess.
That's what I was going to say, is if somehow I could be sure it wasn't going to happen for too long, I would maybe take that over the death note. I think the death note hanging over me and somebody having a voodoo doll, that's scarier. Like, knowing that somebody with a death note could kill me if he wanted to would not be as scary as, ow, I keep getting tortured by this voodoo doll. That's a good one, though. That one actually is kind of difficult to answer.
Yeah. That's we're getting there. We're getting creepier. Voodoo dolls, voodoo dolls are creepy, man. It's so weird that, like, that always, I mean, Indiana Jones 2 is weird for a lot of reasons, but
yeah,
there's also just random voodoo dolls in a couple scenes.
That's so odd.
All right, let's see. James Egan.
Hi.
$7.99. Are you going to review Fantastic Four Life Story? And there is a third sequel to White Knight called Beyond the White Knight. That's excellent.
I've heard that too. That is not a what is scarier question, so I'm gonna answer it very quickly and move on, because we're doing a thing tonight. We're keeping everything in the topic of what is scarier, this thing or this thing, and nobody's quaking in their boots now. You just asked a regular Captain Logan show question. Shame on you. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you for the question. I want to say I've reviewed Fantastic Four Life Story years ago. Did I not? Or is that more recent and just came out? I might be thinking of a different thing. No, I'm thinking of a different thing. So we did Spider-Man Life Story. I didn't know Fantastic Four had one.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that new?
Yeah, maybe it is. I'll consider it. I mean, I definitely obviously would with a request, but I'm not promising any specific reviews right now, because with all the shows we're doing, I don't have time for, like... Unfortunately, I don't have time for regular vaults right now. The only vaults I've been doing lately are vaults that are requested. I want to try to work it in, but I started doing the pilot show with Jason, so that Jason and I had a regular review thing. And I don't really have a great place to put that at the moment, so I can't promise it, but I'm curious now. I'll look into it.
People asking me who I'm supposed to be. I was Spider-Man Noir. I had to take my mask off because I couldn't see. So now I'm just the Noir part.
Now he's DJ Noir.
I'm DJ Noir.
If you were an actual DJ, that is a kick-ass name for a DJ, though.
Yeah, I could kind of. Let's do it.
What kind of music does DJ Noir play?
Just swinging 40s tunes.
But thank you to that commenter for who was that again?
That was
James Egan, right? Yeah. Thanks for putting that on my radar. I appreciate it. I do have a short list of things I want to do vaults on, and I haven't gotten to one of my own accord in a while. I still haven't full on reviewed the Batman '89 miniseries, and I bought it in hardcover recently, so I've been kicking around doing that at some point. I've reviewed the first issue, but I haven't reviewed the whole thing together. Spoiler alert, it's weird. It's a mixed bag. But I like the covers enough, I bought it in hardcover.
That's pretty cool. All right.
Okay, guys, 10 minutes before the break. Get some more in. Let's talk about more scary things. You guys have really been raising the bar for scary stuff. Like, some of this has been, crappy geek things, but a lot of it has actually been kind of morbid and creepy, and I've been enjoying that. Oh, that's awesome. Look at that.
I wish I could get my mask to, like, hang right here. Maybe I'll try to figure that out on the break.
It looks more clearly like a Spider-Man mask when you do that.
Yeah, when it's just hanging.
Yeah. That is cool.
Yeah. Let's see what we got here. Mutale, Ultimate Norman Osborn or All-Star Batman?
I'm going with All-Star Batman. All-Star Batman is definitely scary. Yeah, All-Star Batman kidnaps me, tells me I have to be a sidekick, puts me in a cave, makes me eat rats. I'm definitely more scared of that than generic giant monster man. It's the psychological horror, really. And, well, yeah. that's not fair. You said Ultimate Norman Osborn, not Ultimate Green Goblin. Ultimate Norman Osborn is also a crap bag. I'm just gonna keep saying that. That man is vicious and sadistic and hates his son. That's true. I think I'm still a little bit more scared of Batman, just because, I don't know, the hypothetical is, I guess, should be more like in universe. But for me, like as the reader, I would be more scared of All-Star Batman, just because that's usually an arguably good guy who makes some bad choices and doesn't always treat people right and is ultra antisocial. Norman Osborn is always a bad person. So I'm more scared of a bad Batman, because think about how capable that guy is. Like, if Batman is actually a bad person, you don't want to live in the universe where that guy exists. Norman Osborn, if you live in a Marvel universe, you always have a bad Norman Osborn. It just depends on how bad and what his motivations are.
That's true. So Batman wins. He's the biggest crap bag.
He's the biggest crap bag. Yeah, but see, I'm so predictable, DJ. Like, I'm such a Batman fan that Batman is winning even when I hate him. That's not fair. I need to let Spider-Man win more often. But
you're consistent.
I do think in universe I would be just as scared of Ultimate Norman Osborn. No, I haven't read that in a while. That's true. That guy's horrifying. And is that the scariest version of Norman Osborn? It probably is.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't read too much classic, but he's definitely creepy. He's definitely menacing. Whether he's a giant monster or a little man with cornrows.
Yeah. He does still have the cornrows and the widow's peak in that, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Can't get rid of that. You can ultimatumize a lot of things, but you can't get rid of the hair.
Have you seen the picture? Austin showed me this the other day. Have you seen the pictures of the character models for the new animated Spider-Man show? The what is that? What is that called? Freshman year?
Freshman year, yeah. I did see a couple of those. It's cool that they brought the hair back.
Yeah, they brought the hair back. Yeah, cinematographic. What about dirtbag? That's true. I forgot dirtbag is a phrase, but I've latched on a crab bag pretty hard here.
Yeah. That's worse. I'd rather be a bag of. Dirt's not too bad.
Goofster, Sin's past Norman is so much worse. I don't know if I've ever read that. I'm very rusty with my comic Spider-Man right now, though.
That's pretty sweet.
You'd have to remind me what that is. I know I should know. It's just it's been a while. I'm rusty.
Well, in the meantime, while we're waiting for Goofster, Noah has one. $2. What's scarier, turning into a Borg or a Cyberman?
Thanks for the super chat. Yeah, that one's tough. This I've thought about some, but it's been too long since I've looked real hard at Doctor Who, and I forget a little bit exactly what happens to you when you turn into a Cyberman. So if memory serves, you're pretty well deleted when you turn into a Cyberman, and it just takes your body and reformats you. Whereas when you're a Borg from Star Trek, your mind is still there, but you're part of a collective consciousness. And I think that is technically scarier, maybe. But I remember there being something about the Cybermen that makes it about on par as far as being scary. Like, maybe you're not completely wiped. I'd have to refresh myself on how exactly the reformatting thing works when you get turned into a Cyberman. Senior Six says Cyberman. Yeah, it's probably been a decade since I've really actively watched any Doctor Who. I'm sorry to say.
Oh, yeah.
But they are very closely linked in the collective consciousness thing and in what they do. The cyborg thing. There's a reason, obviously, that they team up in the Star Trek Doctor Who comic that IDW did.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's
Back
cool.
when they had both licenses. I'm sorry.
No, that's a cool question. I obviously have
Oh, Senior
nothing, no
Six says
input.
they suppress your emotions. If you're okay, if they don't totally delete you and like your personality is kind of still there, but they're just suppressing your emotions. Whereas with the Borg, you're part of a collective consciousness, and uh, your will is not your own at all anymore. I think they're about on par. It'd be hard to pick one over the other. AMC, that's the one that slept with and impregnated Gwen Stacy before killing her all as the Goblin. Oh, okay, that's right. So you're talking about in 616 continuity. Yeah, the whole Sins, I forgot about that. The whole Sins Past thing is nuts. And that was more than a bridge too far. And I just forgot what that was called. Robo Brando, in their appearance in Capaldi's final season, it's revealed that the Cybermen are in constant pain but on mute. Oh, that's terrifying. I didn't know that. That's a lot later. I quit before Capaldi. I did watch the first episode or two of Capaldi and really liked it, but I just haven't gone back to it. Wow, that's nuts. Okay, well then, if that's true, based on new things they've added, the Cybermen are definitely scarier.
Yeesh.
And also, I was formulating this as if you were turned into one. Did he say being one or just Borg versus Cybermen?
Yeah, just what's. Oh no, he says turning into a.
Turning into one. Okay, because that's very different than they're coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the Cybermen are actually scarier coming at you than the Borg are. Because the Cybermen, I think, or they're much more zombie-like. Like, we play the Borg like zombies a little bit here and there, but the Borg don't attack you if you're not a threat. And they don't assimilate individuals. They assimilate, I mean, they're not supposed to. There's episodes where, to make them scarier, we do that. But the idea with the Borg is they're looking at the big picture. They want to improve themselves, be closer to perfection by taking over people and technology. So they take whole civilizations. They don't just take a ship or a person. The Cybermen, I think, you're screwed if you see one. I think.
Yeah. All right, James Egan has a question. $7.99.
2 minutes. This will be the last one before the break.
All right. What's scarier, losing the channel or not being able to write anymore?
Ooh. I almost don't want to answer that. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to answer this, and then you guys are like, Cap doesn't. His loyalty's not really to the channel, but not being able to write anymore would be scarier. Even if I'm not regularly doing it very much, because some of that's life stuff, some of that's keeping up with the channel, which is my job on top of watching my kids, and my mentality, like, I'm very much built as a writer. If I don't do it often enough, I don't feel right. I don't feel like myself. If I haven't been writing at all for a few weeks or especially like a few months, I just don't feel right. I get borderline depressed over it. Like, I have to sit down and pump out something, and then I feel accomplished. And like, I can do a million live shows. I can do a bunch of commentaries. It gives me a sense of accomplishment. Don't get me wrong, but I get a different kind of sense of accomplishment when I've written something, and a boost in confidence that being on camera doesn't give me in the same way. And it's just the way I'm wired. It's like my brain, my heart, whatever, at the risk of sounding sappy, however you want to look at it, is constantly telling me, no, you're a writer, why aren't you doing that? And I think if you took it away from me where I just couldn't do it, you took away my hands and my tongue and there was just no possible way to write anything, I don't think I can handle that. So yeah, I think definitely losing the channel would be less traumatizing than that. I mean, it would still suck. It'd be awful. You guys saw the way I responded to it when I thought it was maybe going to happen earlier this year, or when I thought I was going to have to shut the channel down. I didn't take it real well. Ending things on my own terms because I decide I need to start a different phase in my life would be a whole other thing. It still wouldn't be easy. But yeah, if it was taken away from me, that would be rough, but just not being able to do the act of writing would be harder. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's a good one. That's a great one to end for the break.
It is. Well, let's go ahead and take said break, shall we? We'll be back in about 3.5, 4 minutes, folks. And thanks for being here. Hope you're enjoying it. Tonight's obligatory annual Halloween Captain Logan show stream special, what have you. Throw in some more what is scarier, this thing or this other thing, and we'll do another hour of that here in just a little bit. Hey everybody, we're back. It's time for the second half.
We are.
It's time for the second half of the Captain Logan Show. We're going to answer more of your questions about what things are scarier. Pick two things. They're difficult to decide which would freak you out more if you came in contact with it. And we'll see if we can stretch out another whole hour of this. They've been really interesting and fun so far. Was hoping they would get real dark and macabre, and I think they have. I said macabre, and they have. They have. So I've been enjoying that. I like pronouncing that word that way. It's all pretentious and funny to me.
El Chupa Macabra.
Macabre. Okay, folks, people are asking me about the version of Tubular Bells I've been playing. I did that, by the way, because when we did The Exorcist last Friday, some people were disappointed that I didn't play that ahead of time, and I was like, well, I don't want to get copyright flagged and stuff. And so this time, or for this show, I was looking for some kind of different Halloween music to play us in with so that we kind of set the mood properly. And I went, you know what, I'll risk the copyright flag and play a chiptune version. So that's what I found. So this is from a channel called Alberto Heredero. I'll put the link in the description, but it is an 8-bit cover of the first part of the full Tubular Bells album. And he probably has, oh, you know what, he's got the second part here too, I think. And he's actually done chiptune versions of a bunch of Oldfield's music, which is really interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Isn't that crazy? But
Shout
yeah,
out. Cap's giving shout outs.
I sure am. Well, you know, I need to make sure that I just forgot to put this in the show notes. I need to make sure that I'm giving credit where it's due when I play other people's stuff. 8-bit Tubular Bells. Okay, DJ, what else do people want us to talk about? I know, it's very loud. Spooky typing. Ooh.
Clickety clack. Brightburn, 1985.
Clickety clack.
$5.
Yes,
Would
sir.
you rather have Bruce Wayne's trauma or Peter Parker's guilt complex?
Well, it's not would you rather, it's what's scarier.
And then he says, I think the trauma thing is scarier. So leading the witness.
Okay. So he said Bruce Wayne's, say it again. Just how exactly he put it.
Bruce Wayne's trauma or Peter Parker's guilt complex? He did a would you rather question. This is a different show.
Yeah, no, it is a different show, but which one, but let me frame it this way. Which one would I be more scared of suddenly having? Like, if I woke up someday and that was my background, where it's like, I gotta live out the rest of my life as Peter Parker or Bruce Wayne. I don't know where you fall on this, and some of this is based on the personal experience and your own background, and I don't want to get too personal or anything. I think the guilt complex freaks me out more.
Yeah.
I really do. I think the idea that no matter what I do, even if I make the quote-unquote right decision every time, there still could be horrible unintended consequences so that somebody in my life suffers for it, as opposed to, with Bruce Wayne, my parents died, and I'm not just saying this because I want to finally give Spider-Man one. My parents died, and I'm doing everything I can to make sure that other children don't have to suffer the way I did, but I know I'm never going to be able to turn the world into utopia. Again, that's almost too broad and unrealistic of a goal for me to feel like I'd be really traumatized by it. I feel like when you make that vow, even Bruce Wayne, even being as extreme in his views and what he went through and the vow that he is able to make because his parents die, even he has to be realistic enough to admit that that's a thing he's doing for the rest of his life. You know, unless you're the Nolan version where the goal is always clean up the city. It's always more realistic from the beginning with that version of Batman. Traditionally, with your regular comic book Batman, et cetera, it's going to be, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And the goal is not the point. It's setting the example. It's working toward that, knowing you're never going to get there. That doesn't sound as traumatic to me. Like living with what happened with your parents. Yes, of course, that's traumatic. And if you feel guilty about that, as some versions of Batman, but not all of them have, that sucks. But the constant kind of looking over your shoulder, paranoia of, oh God, what do I do in any situation? My girlfriend's gonna die. Her father's gonna die. It's gonna turn out that I've been a clone all along. You know?
Yeah.
Peter Parker's life definitely sucks more than Batman's, is what I'm ultimately saying.
Yeah, Robo Brando says, I think I could handle Bruce Wayne's trauma better than he does. He's a massive baby about it sometimes.
No, that's true. That is a flaw in the way we write Batman sometimes.
Yeah, you feel like you would get over that better than like a lot. That's a really common. People lose their parents all the time. That's a pretty common trauma.
It's all about the angle, DJ. The reason I love Batman is one of the many reasons, but the reason I like the psychology of it so much is what he doesn't get over is the world that created Joe Chill, not the fact that his parents are dead.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows that there's something he can do to improve it because of his resources and because he thinks it's his duty when he is someone that is privileged. That's a bad word these days, but it's appropriate for this context. And someone that can get, physically fit and turn himself into, a specimen of the best of the humanity in some way. He says, I have a duty to do this. And somebody in his situation would maybe have to be pushed that far before he would give up his whole life, basically, in order to try to improve the world. So it really just depends on what his motivations are. And there's 1,000,001 different versions of Batman, and they don't all have exactly the same motivation. It gets nuanced. So
yeah. It's almost like going back to the hell question, where we have to know whose version of hell we're using for the question. We have to know which version of Batman's trauma we're using.
Yeah, no, exactly. I like the way animated series handles it because it isn't that he's like crying every day over the grave of his parents. I mean, yeah, he remains sad about that, and some versions of Batman have to like keep themselves really angry about it. And I think that version makes a choice and makes a vow to his parents, and then has to work really hard to never turn against it. That's what's so wonderful about Phantasm, is that he's given the chance just before he takes on the mantle of Batman to live a happy life with a girl that he falls in love with, and he ultimately decides he has to give that up because of the promise he made to his parents. And so making it about a promise as opposed to making him like this larger than life icon that, like, sometimes the I'm Batman thing is where he's like almost godlike, is Batman's superpower is staying angry about his parents' death. I don't think that's very realistic. I think it's better if he has to either, work really hard at trying to keep that up, or there's more to it than that. You know what I mean? Where like maybe he actually could get past it, but he promised himself to keep on this path, to keep doing this thing.
That's his secret. He's always angry.
He's always angry.
All right, Goofster 1, 2, 3. Apologies for this one. He's got several scenarios here for you. Which of these is the scariest? What's scarier?
Sure.
Losing your wife, your living children, or your unborn child being Austin's?
Okay, try to make it just two things from now on, if we can. That's a little muddled. There's a little too much going on there. Okay,
too many scary things.
Give me those three things again.
All right, so your wife, you're losing your wife.
Yeah,
that's A.
Yeah.
B is losing your living children.
Yeah.
And then C is your unborn child. Is Austin's.
Okay, like that's funny, and obviously I guess I'm supposed to take the bait and say that one. I'm gonna give you the flippant, crass answer since you went there and say, I've already got 5. It's fine.
You'll still raise it as your own.
But no, obviously I would have to murder my co-host and divorce my wife, which is not a situation you ever really want to be in, you know?
I would take the challenge. That would be a very interesting social experiment of nature versus nurture to see how close that kid turns out to the rest of your kids if you raised it the exact same way.
Oh, I thought you said it'd be an interesting social experiment to get Austin to see if my wife wants to have a kid with him, which I really think she'd go for. Alex Barron says, "Oh dear, Austin, what did you do?" Hey, it's a Halloween show, folks. If you take me there, I'm gonna stick right with you.
That would be quite the channel beef. That might be the best YouTube beef ever.
Ever, yeah.
You'd have to throw.
Can you imagine the soap opera that goes along with that?
First of all, you got to give him a
little
little
Sarah
credit.
about all this later. She's gonna think it's hilarious.
You got to give him a little credit just for the sheer feat of having an affair with your wife all the way from Canada.
All the way from Canada? How did they even manage it? I know he doesn't have his passport. Has he been lying to me about his passport?
Well, I mean, if he's cheating with your wife, I think he's lying to you about a lot of things.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, probably so. Well, I mean, that's a lot more complicated than just, screwing the mailman or whatever. Like, he lives all the way in Canada.
Yeah, I love that you instantly were okay with the scenario of him cheating on your wife, but then you're like, he's been lying to me about his passport?
His passport? No, I didn't say I was okay with it. I was just running with the situation. No, the hardest thing of those 3 things ultimately is losing your children, I think. Honestly, yeah. I guess I don't. This is another one of those. This is a cop-out, but it's another one of those, like, if you haven't been through it, how would you really know kind of answers? I feel like what you're supposed to say is losing your children is more devastating than losing your spouse. I think it probably would. I think it would be. I think.
Well, just by the math, like you're losing 5 family members instead of 1.
Okay, all right. Let's just whittle it down to 1. Again, you guys took me there, man. I put no kid gloves on this evening. If let's say Jason,
I got the gloves on.
Yeah. I almost said that. Let's say I wake up tomorrow and Jason has died, and it's just Jason, and I have my other kids, and my wife is still with us, of course. Is that likely scarier or worse than if we lost Sarah? I think losing Sarah is more devastating to the whole family practically.
Yeah, you're raising 5 kids by yourself for maybe ever. Until you find someone else.
And she is certainly the main breadwinner. I mean, Sarah definitely makes a lot of money.
Yeah, so that's definitely scary because you'd have to figure out how to pay for all the kids. Yeah, that's very practically scary.
But can we use different terms? Practically, that's scarier. I think losing the kid is more devastating. I think you don't see him grow up. I mean. Like, I can do the math that way, too, and again, call me crass, but, like, Sarah and I are middle-aged. We've lived probably about half our lives already.
Yeah, no, I don't think any of this is crass. I mean, it's all hypothetical. You don't know.
I think that is... If I started... And you know me, I overthink everything. I would very soon start intellectualizing and internalizing all of this, and just that whole thing would make it worse. The idea of Jason only got to live 13 years, and my wife and I got to live, close to 40.
Yeah, I don't know how parents get over their kids dying young. Like that's brutal. And especially, I mean, if you don't have other kids, like if you had 1 kid. Ugh.
Now, obviously, this is not the first time I've thought about, what I would do if my wife died or if my kids died. I've never put them up against each other and said which one would be worse to me. And of everything we've talked about tonight, I think for me personally, on a personal level, this is the scariest. This is the one that spins my head around more than anything else we've talked about.
I had to kind of live this for a little bit, at least in my head, because my wife was very adamant about whenever she was in the hospital giving birth, that if it ever came down to her or the baby, that I had to promise that I would save the baby and let her go.
And she had a really difficult delivery, right?
Yeah, so
like that was a serious conversation you had to have.
So I promised her, but that would have been
wow.
That would have been rough.
Well, and you've been up against mortality harder than I ever have.
Yeah, I mean, if I had left that cancer just completely unchecked and didn't go through the 6 months of chemo, it would have killed me eventually. And it's
well,
very
I mean,
likely
mine
that
might
it will
have
come
too,
back.
but you had to actually go through the chemo. You actually had to deal with the effects of it, and I didn't with
Yeah,
mine.
I don't recommend it.
I'm sure. I'm sure. No, I'm the luckiest person. Like that's why I laugh about it, and make fun of the myself with the whole cancer thing, because I don't feel like I ever really went through that. Like I had a surgery, I don't remember. You know what I mean? Like that was I've got a couple scars, whatever. But I mean, like what you went through was far more traumatic. Not to compare, horrible things that happened to you. Like luckily we're both okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think the scariest thing about it is like they pretty much told me that it is very likely to come back in my 40s or 50s. So that's a little scary for my wife to be like, oh, okay, well, hopefully it'll be easy to I don't know, hopefully it'll be curable again because that's a little. So there's no guarantee that it's going to come back, but they say it's really common in your third and fifth decades. So I guess that is 20s and 40s. So.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Wow.
I'm 32 now.
Well, and I'm terrible about doctors, so like I haven't continued to go back and get checkups, which I probably should do. Like I'll admit,
I need to too. Yeah.
I'll admit to this. I was supposed to go back to what I had was a kidney cancer, and I was supposed to go back to my urologist for a follow up just to make sure that everything was indeed that. Like there wasn't any reason to think it would come back, but I was supposed to go back just to check, and honestly, I didn't. I kind of forgot about it, and I just never did it. I went through that whole surgery, and then I never went back and followed up. Like I get this from my dad. I hope he wouldn't mind me saying that. I've never been good about doctors. I can't do it. I'm bad about it.
I get the same. I got the same thing from my parents. They doctors are always a last resort. Like they don't do checkups or they don't go until the last possible.
Dude, I had like a spine tingling thing when I read this comment, and I don't mean to be overly dramatic about it, but that's a good call. Alex Barron says, I know people whose kids have committed suicide, and that's probably the worst case scenario. Absolutely brutal. Yeah, like how it happens also makes a difference about
how do you not blame yourself?
Scary. Yeah, no, you'd have to. Yeah, it's one thing if it's an accident or if it's an illness or anything, but if it was something like that where there were telltale signs you didn't. I've been looking at a lot of true crime and tragic stuff like that lately, and this happens all the time. Where if you look back at it, you wonder how a parent didn't see all the signs, either of situations like that, of like a suicide or a murder suicide or like a school shooting or something, where it's like you're armchair quarterbacking and you're looking at that situation and you go, how in the world did you not see something coming, if not exactly what happened? You as the parent, like I watched none of this is geeky, but I watched a TED Talk from the mother of one of the Columbine shooters. Can you even imagine like living the rest of your life out after that happens? Like I think the worst case scenario is your kid is a murderer and then commits suicide. That's the worst case scenario.
Yeah, then how do you not blame yourself?
Yeah. Is everybody having a good time?
I'm going to recommend.
I think we just lost 10 viewers over this conversation.
Again, I'm going to recommend the documentary, Three Strangers. What's it called? It's about the story of those triplets that found each other. It's a really good documentary. It's all about nature versus nurture and a little bit of suicide and stuff.
Yeah, you've talked about that a
little bit. I keep bringing that up.
Did you just say a little bit of suicide?
A little bit of suicide.
Just got a little bit of that sprinkled in. If you're interested in just not like a whole thing about suicide, but just a sprinkling of it, watch this thing.
Yeah. But it's good. It's so good. It came out the same year as... Speaking of being
crass...
Won't You Be My Neighbor documentary. Really good year for documentaries.
That is in my top 5 documentaries. I should make that video at some point.
I would love to watch more documentaries. I have not seen nearly enough. I don't even know if I could put together a 10 that I've actually seen.
I could do 10. Not from memory. I'd probably have to go back and refresh my memory of a few things I've seen, but I'm pretty sure I could do 10.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
10 like really
documentaries.
solid good ones, not just I've seen these 10. Like, especially if series count. Because I've watched a lot of documentary miniseries have gotten really popular lately. Well, and the other thing is, like, I don't mean to take everything back to Star Trek, but Star Trek's one of the reasons I've seen a lot of documentaries. Because there are lots and lots of good Star Trek documentaries, and that ended up being kind of a springboard to get me into documentaries in general, DJ. So I could actually do a top 10 list just of Star Trek documentaries.
Oh, wow.
Believe it or not.
Yeah, there's a lot of great documentaries in the Criterion Collection that I need to get to. I don't watch enough of those. Robo Brando, I can't believe Captain Logan's talking about this while wearing that. Captain Logan.
He says, "Hey, my brim keeps bobbing up and down." I know, I can't stop it.
Talking about child suicide while that brim's bobbing up and down.
Driving me crazy. Yeah, you gotta appreciate the juxtaposition with this show tonight. I can just do the rest of the show like this.
There you go. Now he's the masked man. He looks like
I'm sorry.
No, I can't. I just love it. I want to go to a Mexican restaurant with you in that hat. Let's order margaritas and La cucaracha, the cucaracha.
I think my favorite documentary, maybe something else will come to me. I think it's probably still Life Itself, about the life of Roger Ebert. I think that's still my favorite. I could probably even do a top 10 comic history documentaries. I think I know many of those too.
I've got one of them right here, which is narrated by Liev Schreiber.
It is. That aired on PBS.
And this is a very pretty set, but I'm in noir mode, so it looks very dull right now. There you go. Look at that.
Oh my God, that my eyes just did a thing. Like, that's hard to look at all of a sudden.
This is a crazy
going
set.
from black and white. God, warn me next time.
They put a slip cover, and like this is also like a box that this is a PBS documentary about comic history, which is super weird. They went way overboard.
They did. Yeah, I didn't know it got that treatment. I don't have that.
Cards in here, and there's the book. It's pretty awesome. I don't know what.
I'm jealous. I'm surprised you have that. Yeah, I've passed that up a few times, but I didn't realize everything that was in that box.
Yeah, I just found it at Target a long time ago. When did this come out? 2009-ish?
Yeah, it was just after Origins.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I'm not the biggest fan of that documentary, which is why I haven't been in a big hurry to get it. But
yeah, it's not great.
I
just like the box. I think I've mostly kept it for the packaging.
Dude, if I had a dime for all the things I own because of that, yeah.
Okay, going back.
Thank you. My eyes are better now. Boy, that's really neat.
Yeah, maybe I should do a little short on that or something. I haven't broken that out in a while. Let's see. Where are we? Let's get back to super chats. Mutale. A year marathon watching Birds of Prey, or a year marathon watching Venom 2.
Was that a super chat?
Yes, sir.
Oh boy, that one's tough. Let me think a second. Okay, so a year of watching Birds of Prey or a year of watching I want to say I'd go with Let There Be Carnage, just because Birds of Prey really, really rubbed me the wrong way, but they both pissed me off. Like, I found them both kind of offensive as a fan of both of those properties. In some ways, Birds of Prey is worse. Like, because it ruined... I'm going to do it this way. Birds of Prey, just in the context of that, it's not like it ruins everything that comes before it, obviously, but it ruins heroic characters that I'm invested in on a, like, you know, kind of emotional level in comics, right? Like, how dare you do that to Cassandra Cain? And Let There Be Carnage ruins a psychopathic, sadistic serial killer. So I feel like I shouldn't be as angry with it as the one that messed up my you know what I mean? Like you messed up my heroes over you messed up my villains.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it that way and say Birds of Prey is worse.
Okay.
That's scarier. Robo Brando says there aren't enough episodes of Birds of Prey for that. He's not talking about the TV show. He's talking about the crappy movie. Obviously, if we're talking about the TV show, I would take that all day long, and even over some other things I like. Okay, like that's not a great show, and it doesn't hold up as much as I wish it did. But like, I enjoyed that show. I think it's the best Barbara Gordon we've ever had. So, deal with it.
Deal with it, crap bags.
Crap bags. Oh my god, I can't even go forward without it hitting my microphone.
Sorry. Robo Brandon has a good point. He says, I think DJ should do a toast to this question.
Oh, of course. Yeah, there it is. Man, should be
to
lucky.
Birds of Prey.
I'm gonna throw darts at it. It's too bad that cup isn't Harley Quinn from the Suicide Squad. Then I wouldn't even be angry. I would make out with her a lot more often, actually, because I like that movie.
You heard it here first, folks.
That's right. I got to keep the shtick going. Well, you know, Austin's having his affair. I'll have mine.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody gets one, kid.
That's a what do they call that? The list of like famous people.
There's a video we should do.
But that has a name. What is that called?
Hall passes.
Thank you. I couldn't think of it. Okay, so the hall pass thing. That'd be a weird hall pass, right?
Grayson?
Not even Margot Robbie.
Characters?
Just movie Harley Quinn. She's got to be wearing that. I would rather be, honestly, if I'm in a mood tonight. Obviously I would never do this. If I cheated on my wife with
the views expressed in this video do not support are not supported by Geekvolution or any of the employees there.
I can't even get through the sentence. This is a stupid hypothetical. I would never do this. If I was insane enough, and if she was somehow willing, and I cheated on my wife with Margot Robbie, I would rather her look like Harley Quinn than Barbie. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh wow, interesting. Yeah,
even though I don't love that Harley Quinn look, the Barbie thing would be kind of just off-putting, I think.
Oh, like it's a doll or like it's fake or something.
Yeah, and you know, especially if she was like putting on that character, and she does a great job in that movie. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know.
She's a good actress.
I don't think I'd be into that.
I don't think I'd be into this either. I don't know. Both characters are. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know, but it's
we should make that movie, that video. We should do the hall pass video.
I've actually literally talked about my wife about making that video on my channel, like me and my wife doing it together.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah, we were actually talking about that
Sarah
last night.
Sarah would never do that. Sarah would just say, I wouldn't be able to come up with a list. I'm not going to do that. That's what she would say. Which makes me a horrible person, I guess. If she says that, that means, well, I can't start making that list now.
Well, you're just so handsome and wonderful that she doesn't even see anyone else.
Yeah, I guess. Meanwhile, I'm like, I don't know what handsome men are, except for apparently black men. Remember that whole conversation?
Yeah. Cap's whole top 10 would just be black men.
Just be black men. Okay, anyway, we should probably move on.
Who's making this?
Is this entertaining anyone? Are you entertained? Alex Barron says we were talking about child suicide 10 minutes ago.
We cover it all here.
Alex Barron, Sarah is too good for the channel. That's why she quit. That's why she's not on camera anymore.
She was like, "Oh wait, I don't have to do this. Okay, I'm not."
Yeah, that's right. She's very encouraging to me to keep doing it, but she's which I certainly appreciate. Maybe she wouldn't be if she listened to this episode.
Or the blue naked episode.
You remember back when this channel was sort of family friendly? I blame you, Pikachu.
Me? Well, I didn't. I'm just reading the questions.
There's something about doing this show with you that has turned the channel bluer, I think. It's some combination of you and Austin and I don't know, and Brandon a little bit.
I think the greater percentage falls to Austin.
To Austin? Yeah, probably so.
And probably
especially
just starting...
if it turns out that he's been coming over from Canada when I didn't know about it.
And I think something about starting the After Darks with me, you and Brandon, some of that started to spill over into the main channel a little bit.
That was the point I was making when I said that. Yeah.
But I haven't
thanks
been
for
there
getting
for
us
an
back
After
on
Dark in
track.
forever. I wish I could come back for those. Teddy
AMC,
says,
well, and we're doing them a little bit earlier now, so maybe you can at some point. AMC, longtime viewers, and by the way, it's been a couple weeks since we've done one. I was hoping to do one tonight. I can't. I've got to stop right on time tonight. So we'll do another After Dark as soon as humanly possible. Next week's also going to be a really busy week for me, so I don't know if I can get it in then too. Maybe I can find some other random night to do one. I don't know. So apologies to patrons. I'll try to get to one very, very shortly. AMC says longtime viewers all know Cap would really opt for Emma Stone, a much better choice. You know, that's actually kind of a good point. Emma Stone is pretty great.
yeah, I don't know. I don't find her attractive, except for as like the Gwen. She's great and amazing as Gwen Stacy, but I guess I don't see her as attractive normally, which is weird because I'm not usually attracted to blondes.
That is kind of weird, yeah. Is she always blonde?
No, she's always redhead. She's only blonde in that.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, that's what I thought. I mean, I guess I didn't remember that she was redhead, but I didn't think she was always blonde.
She's got a movie coming out this year that's like a fantasy horror thing that I want to check out. Looks really cool.
Oh, wow. Cool. I do find her generally attractive, but if we're going to that superficial place, I don't know. Sorry, what?
But your real number one would be Jennifer Garner, of course.
Yeah, I still really like Jennifer Garner. That's true.
All right, we have two. 2 down, 8 to go, guys. Stay tuned.
Oh, God, we got to do 10? Hell.
How many hall passes do you normally get? We got to watch the Friends episode about it, and then we'll know.
Let me ask you about this rule, though. Does it have to be somebody that is age appropriate, or like?
I think you can pick them in their prime.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is like
it's all hypothetical anyway.
Going back to when, that's what I was gonna say. Like, because if I had to pick, somebody that was like, I don't know, a particular age now and not from, a long time ago, or from like 20 years ago, because a lot of my picks would be like 20 years ago probably. Then again, that's not fair either, because like obviously I've also gotten older, and so those would be more appropriate choices for me because they're probably all mostly my age, really. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I was sitting here like, would it be weird to pick somebody that was, when I was watching them and finding them really attractive, they were like 20. Well, yeah, probably, because they'd be my age now.
Yeah, so nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it was like 20 years ago. But anyway, yeah. The I can't remember her name right now. The girl that going back to Birds of Prey, the girl that plays Huntress in Birds of Prey would be on that list in the TV show. I loved her.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the movie because she's great too. What is her name?
No, she's also great. Yeah. But she probably wouldn't be on my list.
She's great in everything. She's in Fargo season 3. I mean, we all know Sterling K. Brown will be at your number 1 spot, and he's like 50 now, so it's all good. Age is just a number.
Anyway, moving right along. Do we have more? We're not even talking about scary things anymore. Do we have more scary things?
Yeah, we got 2 more super chats here. One of them is just freaking out about this box that I pulled out. $9.99 from Teddy. He said, he quoted me saying, "This is also like a box. Holy crap, you sold me. I'm buying it right now." I don't know if he's actually interested or he's making fun of the way I described it. Sorry, man. I wasn't in review mode. I was in let me pull this thing off my shelf mode.
So thanks, Teddy. Teddy is wonderful. I really appreciate him. What I find really amusing about that is, I'm going to assume that he wasn't serious when he said he's going to go buy it right now, but if he did, what's hilarious is he paid us $10 to then go spend money on a thing. I think that's really funny.
That's how we do it.
Appreciate you, man.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead, that's right. Day Ghost just reminded me. Thank you. That's her name.
Ashley Scott. There you go. Yeah, Ashley Scott's wonderful.
So thanks, Teddy, or no thanks. If you were making fun of me, no thanks. But if you actually want that, I'm happy I could tell you about it.
I think she is a really underrated actress. And I know she moved on and did some other show that I've never seen because it didn't seem like my thing. But yeah, she's great.
Yeah, I've never heard of her. I don't know if I've ever seen her in anything.
Yeah, probably not. Because, I mean, that was a CW thing in 2003, and then she did other TV stuff after that.
2003. So I was 10, about to be 11.
It is kind of weird how many of mine would be CW people, though, because, like, Katie Lotz is probably still on that list. Like, I love Katie Lotz, too.
Even after this Power Rangers show, what's it called? Superhero Super League of...
Yeah, that's not her Legends. She's just getting paid. That's not her fault. She's just getting paid. No, like it's just... My thing is these really attractive actresses that have killer acting chops that are in things where they really get to showcase that and have and like get really great stories where they have something to play. You know? So like Jerry Ryan would be in there too for the same reason. No, this is easier than I thought it would be.
Katie Holmes would be there, of course.
No. It's mostly TV people, which is the weird thing.
TV people.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are approving of your choices in the comments.
Oh, thanks, AMC. Yeah, so yeah, it's weird that's where this ended up going. This has gone about as long as the name a bunch of naked character conversation we had a couple
Tuesday's
weeks ago.
Tier list is going to be ranking our hall passes, top 10s.
Oh, I don't want to rank them. That sounds unfair.
Sure, we're already objective. Like, we're already fantasizing about women that want nothing to do with us. Let's just go all the way.
Yeah, while we're married and while I'm just fine with the fact that my other main co-host is apparently cheating with my wife, you know.
Yeah, of course. Not me, guys. If you missed it, that's not me. That's the other one. The sneakier one.
I hope it's not both. No, spooky. Can we make it spookier? We've only got 20 minutes left of the show.
All right, let's get back to super chats. Hopefully these are spooky chats.
Spooky.
Teddy, $9.99. To be fair, if I was married and somehow I managed to cheat on her with Margot Robbie, I think she would just be impressed. Yeah, Grace definitely would be.
Yeah, if it was the one time, like after a while, she'd be like, okay, I've gotten over the allure of the fact that this is like this really famous actress. Stop it.
Yeah, Margot Robbie surprisingly was not on my wife's list. I would have thought she would have been, but no, she went more for the Aubrey Plaza type.
Okay, thank you for the super chat. We really appreciate it, but we got to get back to the either or scary things.
Yes, Mutale.
Less scary.
Super chat: stuck in the cold Arctic or hot desert?
I'm gonna go for the Arctic.
That's horrible. Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I was thinking which one
actually.
I'd rather do. No, a scarier is definitely the desert.
Yeah,
the desert is scarier for me.
Having to drink your own urine.
But I mean, they're both horrible extremes. The problem is, okay, here's the thing. I'll flip this around and make it a would you rather thing for a second and tell you why the heat is scarier to me. I would rather die by frostbite than deal with a really horrible sunburn right before I die, because I burn really, really easily, and I hate being out in the sun for too long. I'm very much a vampire like that, which is why I'm so super pasty white, because I can't be out in the sun for very long. So
that's why he wears that hat everywhere he goes.
Everywhere I go, yeah, this helps a lot actually. It really does. It's not the most comfortable thing on my head, but getting the sun off me, not having to put on a lot of aloe vera really makes up for it.
Yeah, I actually don't know what frostbite feels like. Do you just go numb and not feel anything? Because maybe that's better than just
I think it really hurts.
Out.
But I guess I don't know. That's true.
I'm assuming it stings for a little bit, but it might go numb at some point.
Maybe so.
Whichever one's faster, I guess. I would have to do research. Like completely dry. Like it takes several days to run out of, if you have no water and you just be like, I don't know, slowly dying of thirst sounds horrible.
Robert says freezing to death seems worse than the heat. Like it probably is, but I really don't want to get that hot. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. Those are both awful.
All right. Speaking of awful, Mutale has another super chat here. Your kids tortured by Hannibal Lecter or Buffalo Bill?
Oh my God! Why'd you have to make it my kids? Why are you guys being so mean to my kids and my wife tonight? Seriously.
You asked for this. You wanted to be literally scared.
I
So
did. Nope, and it's worked out. That's probably the worst one, right? Or at least that's
I don't
up
know
there.
who Buffalo Bill is. Is that
That's the
the Chainsaw Massacre
no,
guy?
that's the other villain in that movie. Those are both from that movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know nothing about that movie. So I don't know. I'll defer to the Cap.
Well, one of them. Yeah, it's hard to say which is worse. They're both pretty bad. Like one of them, it's really just what brand of serial killer do you want to deal with? Like Hannibal Lecter is definitely more capable and scarier just in general, and he'll just start ripping into you with his teeth. Like he doesn't even have to kill you and cook you first. He'll start eating you while you are alive. That's Hannibal Lecter. And Buffalo Bill kills you. I'm pretty sure he kills you before he sews together a human suit of you and wears it. So like the the manner of death that like that you would suffer would be bad, but not as bad as with Hannibal Lecter. I don't think. I think Lecter would be worse. I mean, the thing is, I don't know how long Hannibal Lecter would drag it out because we kind of know a little bit more just based on that movie, and I haven't seen any other Hannibal stuff, so I don't know. But like just based on that movie, I like Buffalo Bill. Torments you for a good long time, like keeps you in a pit, and he starves you for a while before he does what he's gonna do. I don't really know what Hannibal Lecter's process is exactly, but just from the things we see him do to like guards and stuff, he seems way scarier to me.
All right, next one is from Will McCausland. Which do you prefer,
Thanks, man.
style over substance or substance over style?
Okay, so that's kind of a would you rather thing. That's not a which thing is scarier. Which thing is scarier? Style over substance or substance over style? Ooh.
Yeah, I guess it depends on which style. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
Michael Bay's pretty scary.
There are lots of, if we're talking like just movies, TV, comics, visual things, there are lots of wonderful stories that skimp out on the style where they're not trying to be like real super artistic, and the piece works anyway. And there is plenty of gorgeous looking things with horrible stories that I don't want to have to read again, no matter how pretty they are. So certainly I would take the substance over style instead of style over substance. And that's not to say that there aren't some style over substance pieces that are still a lot of fun, but
Yeah.
I can't remember ever looking at a really great story where I went, but it's not exciting visually. It's not pretty. You know what I mean? Like great writing can go a long way.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where you can almost have stick figures and it still works if the writing is good enough. That's not to say that it doesn't enhance it, that it doesn't help, but you got like a one static camera in a room where like the whole thing is a oneer, and the camera is doing nothing interesting, but you have the most fascinating layered conversation you've ever seen. You don't need that camera to do anything, but if it does, it can make it better. Like there's some good cinematography in My Dinner with Andre, but it's a lot more about the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, spookiness is getting me.
Are you
All right,
okay there? Are you okay there? That was, of course, obviously the scariest question, so I understand why you had a hard time getting through it.
Yeah, it's rough, man. I'm gonna try to move on.
Ooh.
We are right down to the wire. That was the last super chat, so I'm gonna scroll back up to
Okay,
the
thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
pre-writtens here, and we can
We
get a
got 10
couple
minutes,
in.
so last call for super chats if anybody wants to put more in, but we will answer pre-writtens up until the wire here, unless more come in. Go ahead, sir.
All right, let's see. We've got one from Daniverse. Whoops, that's not a spooky question. Come on, guys. Scarier from Daniverse. Watching The Flash or Thor: Love and Thunder?
Wow. it's crazy that I'm gonna say this, but based on specifically a few scenes with the awful, immature Flash, Barry Allen, especially the stupid thing where they contrive a reason for him to run around speedily naked when he first gets his powers. I'm gonna go with that movie. I really am.
Wow.
Yeah. I think like Love and Thunder overall is not good. It was better than I expected it to be, and in some ways, I think I actually like it better than Ragnarok. But the overall package of that didn't bug me as much as a couple of scenes in Flash. But I think some of that might also just be because that material, like like really deserves a better script than that. And like you brought Keaton back for that, okay. Then again, I also kind of forgot about the Zeus thing for a minute, so I don't know. It's hard to say. Noah says the Flash for its horrifying CGI. Yeah, no, I think that the things in that movie that are scary are scarier than Love and Thunder. Absolutely, I think Love and Thunder is in some ways more irritating, but I think the Flash is definitely scarier.
Quick super chat.
Take day. I don't know. I'm not alone. I'm not alone in the comments here, folks. All right, moving right along.
Super chat just popped in from Mutale.
Brandon.
Which scarier, Sarah?
The answer is Brandon.
Let me read the question. Sarah cheating on you with Brandon or Sarah cheating on you with Vince?
The answer is Brandon.
Oh, wow. Never thought I'd ask that on camera. I'm not even going to
elaborate. Take that, Brandon. Mutali, the screaming goats wouldn't scare you? No, it's just irritating. I don't know. There's like cringeworthy, gross stuff in Flash that I don't ever want to have to deal with again.
I've only seen the opening scene of Flash. I haven't seen either of those movies, but my wife was watching Flash on HBO Max when it dropped a couple weeks ago, and I saw like just the opening scene of that. So
it's
bad. I guess Thor 4 is more scary at this moment because it's just the unknown of it. I don't know what it's like. I've heard things, but I don't know. Let's see.
Did you see the horrible CGI babies with the microwaves?
Oh yeah, I saw the Roger Rabbit scene.
Because oh my god, how does it ding? It's not plugged in. I still don't understand that.
How does it ding?
How does it ding?
Ding 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 ding
ding ding ding ding ding. God, why do I have multiple reasons to say ding with the DCEU now? We got 5 minutes, folks.
John Henry, what is scarier, being the referee who decides who wins in a fight between Freddy and Jason, or being the rule designer for the fight between Freddy and Jason?
Oh, and he doesn't mean my children. I was like, how's this scary? I don't even understand.
Are there any rules? Well, like, what rules do you have to design?
Why would it be scary to design the rules?
Just because it's hard? Because they have so many powers, I guess? I don't know.
Maybe so. Yeah, no, it's definitely the first thing, right?
Having to decide who wins? Are you like in a safe bunker somewhere watching on a screen?
I would assume the scary thing about that is you might get killed. I don't really know what's scary about either of those things, really, unless your life is in danger.
Yeah, that's a very complicated question. I feel like we need a lot of elaboration.
Yeah.
I require elaboration.
That sounds like you had to have spent all day coming up with it before you even knew I was going to do this topic. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks for the question.
Code Anime Fan, what is scarier, swimming on camera or eating expired chips off camera?
Okay, that was random. I don't know what doing it off camera really has to do with anything. I mean, it would be scarier on camera because it's like, now I got to get through a show and not throw up. God.
What is that a callback to?
I don't know if that's a callback to anything. That's the thing, is I think it was just random.
Oh.
Unless it was about Death Note or something, but I don't think it was. So, but I mean, yeah, that's scarier than, I don't know, eating something that makes you sick is gonna be scarier than swimming on camera. Like, I'm not actually scared to do that. We just haven't done it. I'm in a lot
Let's
better.
do it.
I'm in a lot better physical shape than back when that joke first started 4 years ago, and I wasn't scared to do it, but maybe a little embarrassed. But I don't think I would have that now.
Goofster, one,
Yeah.
2, 3. What's scarier?
Hello.
Snyder taking. What's scarier? Getting interrupted by Muppets or finishing the super chat? What's
No, it's
scarier?
not a Muppet. I was being Mantis.
Oh, sorry, I don't remember that character at all. I've only seen that movie once.
Well, she didn't start doing it until the things you haven't seen yet, unless you saw Guardians 3 at some point. And I don't know about it, but
I did not know.
she does that in the Christmas special, and she does it in Guardians 3. It's turned into a thing now.
Oh, that's unfortunate. What's scarier?
No, it's hilarious.
Snyder taking over Star Trek or Taika Waititi taking over all Batman media?
So I don't want to be a broken record with this, but you can't throw Star Trek in the equation with any of this anymore because you can't make it worse. Like, Star Trek is already scary to me. I turn on an episode of anything they're making right now, and I'm like, ah! So yeah, it's definitely the Waititi Batman whatever thing. Like, Snyder can't make Star Trek worse. I'd rather him have it right now. I'll say that. I would give it to him. And he probably doesn't understand anything about Star Trek any more than he does about superheroes, you know, the DC universe. And he could, come in with his like edgelord nonsense, and it would still be better than the edgelord nonsense they've been making. That's what I'm gonna say. I'd rather give it to anybody. Maybe I draw the line at Waititi, just because Snyder would at least have a script. But yeah, it's definitely the Waititi Batman thing. Okay, we are nearly at 2 hours. Do you want to do one more? Or do we even have anything else?
We got through most of them. We can do this one real quick. Robert Wild just put in the chat, what is scarier, the IRS or ghosts?
That's really funny. Well, I don't know if ghosts exist. I don't know. I'm not really scared of the IRS. Because, like...
No. Well, except for when you don't do your taxes. You know,
well, right. That's what I'm saying, is like we do them. So I don't know. I'm not scared of doing my taxes so much as every time that comes around, I'm like, God, I got to do this again. Because I hate organizing things and having to go back through records and crap. Like, I don't like doing that.
Yeah, doing taxes is scary.
Yeah,
but I've never had to,
that's kind of scary. If ghosts are real, though, I'm more scared of ghosts. But then all I have to do if I am a little bit afraid of ghosts is go to DJ and have DJ remind me that all they do is slide chairs around the room.
That's it. But ghost accountants. No, that's the worst of it.
Oh my God. You just put two scary things together. There was one I wanted to answer from earlier that I can't remember who it was, but somebody asked me if it would be scarier to lose my Tick collection or my Star Trek collection.
Oh, I didn't see that. That's good.
This was quite a while back, and I noodled that for a second because I wasn't actually totally sure where I'd go, but I have a number of pretty rare, difficult to get your hands on Star Trek items, especially Star Trek reference things, and I think almost all of my Tick stuff is relatively replaceable. Well, that's not true either. Now that I'm thinking about it, no, I've got a few pretty rare Tick items also, but I'm gonna go with Trek because I've been collecting that a lot longer, and some of those rarer items I've probably had in my possession for like 18 or 20 years. And it's also a larger collection, so it would be more time-consuming and more expensive to replace. So I guess I would have to go with that. But those are both wonderfully well on par as far as how hard they would be to replace in the rarities. And those are the two collections I have that probably have the most rarities.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting way for this night to go if they started asking questions like that, because that hits too close to home. And you got so many collections.
Yeah.
Like, you could talk about, my children dying or my wife dying, but don't talk about losing my collection. Like, come on now.
Yeah. Well, for you, it would have to just start coming down between, like, this thing or this other thing more than
Yeah.
More than collections, probably.
I don't know how you'd break it down. That's not for me. I'm just the moderator. That's for you guys to figure out. But sorry, we're out of time.
Well, everybody, thanks a lot for joining us tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again next Thursday night with a regular episode of the Captain Logan Show, where I will be wearing a significantly smaller hat, or more than likely, no hat at all. And there will be fewer pumpkins on the screen. And DJ will be in full color the whole show. Don't do it right now, though. That really messed up my eyes. I will be back tomorrow night at 9 for a Silence of the Lambs commentary with Austin. That'll be... I was going to say our last big Halloween thing, although Jason and I are going to try to get the next episode of the pilot show done on Halloween or right around it, and that is Gargoyles, and then... No, you know what? We're going to have more horror-y things actually the next couple of weeks. So Halloween is going to kind of keep extending for us because of some things we were hoping to get done earlier that we haven't gotten to yet. Next Friday originally was supposed to be another Superhero Rewind double feature for commentaries, but I had to stave it off because of some things that moved around in my schedule. So the week after that, we'll be doing a double feature that's still kind of horror-y. Blade and... the Batman versus Dracula the same night. So yeah, horror things are going to continue on for a while. So look forward.
That's cool.
Yeah, that'll be a neat double feature, and the patrons picked Batman versus Dracula. So I'm glad we ended up with that vampire theme.
Yeah. Sweet.
All right, thanks to everybody who supported the program tonight in Super Chats, and thanks for all the regular questions, and thanks for letting us get kind of goofy and weird and random with our answers. And it got kind of dark and weird in places, and then very quickly it transitioned to really superficial questions about famous people and who we would like to date. That also happened.
We do it all here. I mean, it's a one-stop shop. What more could you ask?
And those are the show notes. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you again real soon. I was Captain Logan, and this was DJ Martinez. That was a weird part of that song to come back on. Dun, 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 dun.